Welcome back. There are a number of black men and women who helped make New Hampshire what it is today. You might not have heard of Prince Whipple before, but he was one of the most influential black leaders in the Granite State. He was sold into slavery at 10 years old. In 1779, Whipple was one of 20 enslaved men who petitioned New Hampshire to abolish slavery. He served at the Battle of Saratoga in the Revolutionary War. Historians dispute whether he fought in Delaware. He was once believed to be the man depicted near George Washington's knee in this famous painting. But there is some debate over whether that's the case.
And in this segment, we are discussing the obstacles facing black-owned businesses here in New Hampshire, from the role bias plays into starting a business to unique circumstances brought on by the call for social justice around the country. Joining me now from the Senior Helpers of Southern New Hampshire, Mr. Dwight Davis, also the director at the State of New Hampshire Division of Economic Development, Mr. Will Arvello, and the co-founder and CEO at Study, which helps software engineers find employment, Mr. Gino Miller. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's start off with this. It is well documented that there is a significant gap in our state's diversity, which is more than 90% Caucasian. However, the landscape is changing. Mr. Arvello, let's start with you. What sort of evolution have you seen across New Hampshire, and how is the state looking to change the narrative over what it can offer black-owned businesses?
I can tell you that in my 15 years or so of being in the state, I've seen a lot of change. Used to be that it would be rare for me to see a student of color at the college. You have to put all of that into the historical perspective of New Hampshire, is that New Hampshire has been predominantly a white state. But again, that is starting to change. And with that, we're starting to see more people come here to build businesses and to start careers and to become part of the fabric of our communities. And in the end, that's going to make New Hampshire richer going forward.
Calls for social justice reform have echoed across the country. And how has that had a positive or negative impact here on businesses in New Hampshire?
I've sourced a few other minority business owners, and they have felt the same, that business has not been affected in a negative way. On the nonprofit side, I'm a board director with the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire, and it has gained tremendous support, financial support and otherwise, people being curious, wondering, what can I do to be of help to increase inclusion, to be a part of this diversity movement.
You connect New Hampshire employers with software engineers of color. Now, when speaking with these companies, what are some of the benefits that you highlight for your clientele? And as companies diversify, are there any sort of infrastructure recommendations that you make?
People know the benefits of a more diverse and inclusive workforce. Again, it's more revenue, it's more innovation. Even candidates who are also white say there are statistics out there that show that they say that they would be much more likely to work for a diverse company over over a less diverse competitor. Are you willing to commit 100% from a financial standpoint? And what internal resources do you have to specifically support certain people coming from different backgrounds? Because Black folks may not need the same resources as Hispanic folks, or people coming from the LGBTQ community may not need the same resources as women.
Some people take offense to calls for supporting businesses owned by people of color, as though it excludes those who don't fit that bill. What do you say to those folks?
It's a fact, and it's undisputable, that any community that is diverse and rich and draws from all of its community is a stronger community, economically, socially, education-wise, in governance. That is a fact. It can't be denied. But you're absolutely right in asking that question. So many people, they get a little confused when they hear a call to support a Black business or support a Black community. They feel wrongly that people of color is asking them not to support other communities other businesses in favor of the Black business. We're just asking that support all the businesses.
New Hampshire has an opportunity to be a state that says to the rest of the world, we appreciate diversity. It adds to our richness. Come here, build a business, build a family. If we have this conversation in 5-10 years, it'll be a different conversation. We will be in a different place demographically. We will be in a different place in terms of how we support Black-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and how we're perceived externally as a state that welcomes diversity.
Gentlemen, a lot of great insight. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, this memorial in Portsmouth makes sure difficult history is not forgotten. This is where Portsmouth's earliest African and African American residents were buried. The segregated cemetery was a final resting place for as many as 200 free and enslaved people until the early 1800s. As the practice of slavery declined, the burial ground was paved over, marked only by a plaque from the Black Heritage Trail. Then in 2003, crews on a city improvement project found coffins beneath the surface. That sparked years of planning, which gave birth to the African Burying Ground Memorial Park. It now runs the length of Chestnut Street and includes sculptures and historical information.
Vernice Jackson joined the committee of the African Burying Ground in 2003. She worked closely with city officials, archaeologists, and residents to create the memorial in the park. Jackson is also known for forming the Seacoast African American Cultural Center.
What was it like growing up Black in New Hampshire in the 1950s?
We were accepted by some people and not by others.
Coming up, the story of the Ward family and the challenges they faced as recorded in Sketches of Lee.